One of the interesting points you made earlier, Michel, was the impact that increasing populations, larger populations in cities, shifting populations in cities, and increasing migrant populations in cities. I was just wondering what you thought the impact of that might be on HIV and AIDS generally, in terms of prevalence, and then perhaps what we need to do in terms of services to help combat some of those issues.
Yeah, on prevalence I wouldn't know, but on the risk, that's what I'm arguing. I think cities, in addition to bringing people together, there are two risk factors that I see. One comes from the fact that coming to a city offers you a sort of new freedom of expression, of identity for some of the marginalized groups, or freedom of expression of your sexuality. And the other, of course, is that as cities grow, disparities appear. Very much in the urbanizing context, the rich are becoming richer, the poor are becoming poorer. So if you take all these factors together, that really creates a high risk to me for the epidemic to increase or to appear when it comes to new cities, let's say, coming up in Africa. So I do see the risk of those concentrated epidemics in an urbanizing context.
And what do you think the response should be then in terms of service delivery for an organisation like ours, for example, who deliver a front-end harm reduction approach? How would you advise us to reshape?
Well, you have the response, because the first element of that response is to have the civil society and the community involved. That's the recipe for success. Building systems, or just building systems, will never make it. And I think if Scotland, as you know, I will be saying later today, has been successful in the early days with the injecting drug use epidemic, it's because from the very beginning the public sector has worked with the civil society. The problem in many of the developing countries, or in the countries that are transitioning to become, you know, mature economies like Russia, is that there isn't much of a civil society there, and governments are not used to fund those organizations and to work with them. So I'm particularly concerned about this next sort of transition phase. But there's a lot that you can do in actually working with those organizations and these countries.
And taking that as if we're entering a new phase, if you like, in terms of, you know, HIV and AIDS and the impact on the delivery of supports for certain populations of people. If you were to give organisations like mine a message for here's where to concentrate your efforts in the future, what would you suggest?
Well, I would have two messages. The first one is keep up the fight, because we're in the panel that I just attended, we had this slightly sort of pessimistic discussion about the energy is decreasing, the motivation is decreasing. So first message, keep up. And the second message is you're on the right track. I mean, the governance, the decision making in the 21st century has to be inclusive, intersectoral, as someone was saying this morning. So you're at the forefront of leading that effort.
It's been a delight and a pleasure having you here, and thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you.
Thank you.